Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day. Jennifer is grateful for the opportunity to educate, empower, and inspire you with powerful conversations, insights, and new viewpoints. Here's your host, Jennifer J. Hammond.
This is Jennifer Hammond, and I'm so excited. As you know, every single episode, I love to bring you amazing guests and talk about topics that really are, that one, I'm passionate about, but two, that my guests are super passionate about, and I think are their goodness that we're spreading out in this world, which is so important. And one of my passions, as you know, if you listened for a long time, is my brother and music. I'm so excited about anything to do with music. So my next guest, I'm super excited, Rich Redmond. He's a drummer, a speaker, an actor, an author, and a producer. Rich is a top call touring recording drummer based in Nashville and Los Angeles. Rich has toured and recorded and performed with some amazing people like Aldean, Garth Brooks, Kelly Clarkson, Bryan Adams, Bob Seger, Joe Perry, Jewel, Miranda Lambert, Luke Bryan. And I got to interview Luke. Luke's awesome. Keith Urban, so many. And he really loves how much music can change people's lives. And he survives and thrives in the music industry, which is such a hard industry. And I think it's hard for any artist, but there are so many challenges and unique challenges, but especially because of the pandemic. So first of all, welcome, Rich.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. So I have to start first from the very beginning. When you were a little boy, did you think, oh my gosh, I am going to be up on stage all over the world with these amazing rock stars doing something I love in music?
Yeah. I think the lucky ones in the world, we find our calling at a young age. And so for me, the year was 1976 and I was hitting everything in sight. And my dad was like, yeah, I think this kid wants to play. Do you want to play the drums? And they took me to my first drum lessons. And it turned out that I was a natural, so my calling had found me. And then the deal was sealed in 1983 when, I had a crush on Martha Quinn and Nina Blackwood. And I was watching J.J. Jackson and Alan Hunter, and the Police came out with the record Synchronicity, and I said, I'm going to do that. Little did I know I was signing up for a lot of hardships and heartache, but because there's a lot of doors that are slammed in your face, but that's okay because the time on stage is always worth it.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that's really special about that story as well is when you're a little boy and you discover that you like the drums, I can tell you that so many parents are not necessarily going to bring home a drum set for their little boy. So you're very lucky you had those kind of parents.
I'm so lucky. Like super cool parents. They're super hip and thriving. They're down in Florida in Port Charlotte. My dad was an accountant for 35 years, and my mother was a nurse for over 40 years. And they finally retired. They're having the time of their life down there. But they really supported me, and my dad drove me to my all of my lessons, and they put me through college to study music. And they said, "Hey, this is on us. Just get straight A's." So I graduated from college with a laser focus and tons of skills and no debt. And so that was kind of like their gift to me. And so it's always very satisfying when, in the early days with Aldean, I've been playing with him for 21 years. We would open up for the Rascal Flatts, and they would give us like 15 minutes on the edge of the stage, but my parents would be down there in the front row. And after the show, I would run out to the thrust and I would toss my drumsticks to my parents. And, because, tomorrow is not promised. I always said to myself, this could be the last time my parents get to see, their son's vision and dreams come to fruition. It's very special. So there's been a lot of tears of joy in this pursuit.
Well, and it's funny because this last year, 2020, was the year where we saw very few concerts. And again, that dream could disappear in an instant. And again, sure, for so many reasons, not necessarily because of a pandemic, but 2020 definitely changed, I think, all of us in a lot of ways. But Rich, would you think back when you were going through all kind of your ups and downs, and in the music industry, there are always doors that are slammed in your face. Could you recall a story, a specific time when you got a door slammed in your face and it made you pause and think, well, maybe this isn't the right thing for me. And then what made you bounce back?
Yeah, the great question. Well, I never, ever doubted the fact that I was this was my calling and that I was supposed to do that. Yes, there was rough times where you're depressed. You're like, well, I could play probably just as good or better than that guy, or I'm more prepared. And why does that person have that job? And then you rain on a pint of Haagen-Dazs, right? And then you're like, what am I doing? But there was two things early on. I had two auditions and actually three auditions in Nashville. I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time. I was a top name there. I was playing in all the cool top 40 bands. I flew to Nashville to audition with Trisha Yearwood, Dina Carter, and Barbara Mandrell, three, songbirds in their own right, iconic figures in the music business. And it always came down to me and another drummer that lived in Nashville. So everybody was responding well to my performances, but they're like, kid, you must be present to win. It's like, the music business is like owning a restaurant. Location is everything. There's only three places you can go: New York, LA, or Nashville. And so that inspired me to say, okay, I gave my band in Dallas, Texas, 2 weeks notice, and I packed up my Toyota pickup truck, my one set of drums, and my little black cat Cha-Cha, and we drove to Nashville, and that was it. And I moved on a Tuesday, and on Saturday night, that first week, I had a job playing in a wedding band, which wasn't a dream come true, but it was. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward, and you have to have enough humility and vision to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I've known quite a few people who have actually worked with Garth Brooks over the years, and they have said that it's interesting when you meet some of those, like a Luke Bryan as well, who I got the opportunity at the CMA Fest to interview. And I've also realized that they also would say the same thing, that sometimes you just have to be humble first and realize that, we all rise, but there are ups and downs in life, and it's not all just a rocket ride, even when you've had successes. And I think that, year 2020 made us all try to figure out new ways to be creative. I'm curious for you, what is it that helps you be creative when you're coming up against some struggle?
Well, for 2020, I pivoted like so many people did. I'm lucky that I had enough foresight that I'm a natural businessman. And so I've always got a million lures in the water. I got a lot of lines in the water. So if I'm not doing online drum lessons or career consultations, I've created products, that bring in, mailbox money. And then I said to myself, you know what, when I take a break from the drums and I pursue something else creative, when I come back to the drums, I appreciate it so much more. I'm like, oh, I've missed you girls. So for most of 2020, I wrote a TEDx talk that I'm going to unleash, hopefully when the world returns, where I can do them in person, because I want to stand on the little red circle. And then I took like nonstop acting classes, online acting classes for like 6 months, which is great because it's like that helps my speaking. It helps my drumming. It helps you, I recommend everybody go out and take a improv comedy class, because it is nerve wracking to go out and create something out of nothing in front of an audience. So I do things like that. I'll just kind of like go out for a run or do my gratitude list or, hang out with my sexy girlfriend or just change the channel a little bit. So when I come back to the drums, I'm refreshed and renewed,
I love that. I think that that's a secret to life in general, and especially even with business, because I'm like you, I am a serial entrepreneur. I have a bunch of businesses, and I absolutely love helping people, but I also love finding a way to be fresh and creative again. And if you do something for too long, somehow we get, I hate to use the word bored, but it's not fresh anymore, so it's almost like it gets mold and mildewy, and then you've got to somehow make it fresh again. It's almost like I love observing things that probably most people don't observe, like the fact that, if you look at a window, the glass that's in the window, it's actually in motion. Now, we don't see it moving like we see the waves of an ocean moving, but it is moving. And if you go to an old house, you will see sagging glass. And I remember as a kid thinking, what? No. It doesn't move and, arguing the differences of time, but finding things that you can observe that are completely different, which again, like you just said, helps you become more creative. So you have a book. Will you talk a little bit about your book?
Yeah. They tell you in every media training class to show your book. And so if people are consuming this with their eyes, there it is. This was a book that I was paralyzed because, there's a lot of authors that they'll wait 10 years to put out their book because they want it to be perfect. And what I just started taking a cue from a lot of guys that just create content, and there's typos and there's problems, but they just put it out, and their fans, their true tribe, they respond positively to it. So my book is called C.R.A.S.H, Course for Success, 5 Ways to Supercharge Your Personal and Professional Life. And so C.R.A.S.H is easy to remember. It's an acronym. I love acronyms. I think that's going to be my angle on all my publishing, where everything is a 5-letter word or a 4-letter word. So it's easy to remember. So C.R.A.S.H stands for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. So you can use any of these things individually, but when you use them synergistically, they feed each other, they cross-pollinate, and you're able to really manifest the life of your dreams. So committing to your craft, cultivating lifelong, sincere relationships, having an attitude that is flexible and giving and nurturing, and that you have enthusiasm, which is always contagious, identifying and developing your skills that you need for a success over the course of your life. And of course, no matter what season of your life that you are in, staying hungry for that success and staying tapped into that fire that burns in your belly. So when I play the drums, I'm really trying to tap into that 7 and 8-year-old kid who went off to his drum lessons. So, because I've been playing the drums now for 44, almost 45 years. That's a long time. So keeping that fresh has been challenging.
And I think that's one of the things that all of us have a challenge on our daily basis is, okay, if you get out of bed, I don't know why, for some bizarre reason, when I wake up, I'm always like, oh, it's a new day. And I don't know why that is that way, but sometimes I'm like, oh, there are a lot of once I think about it's Tuesday and I have, I start to, oh, wait a minute, now I've got some heavy things to resolve. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, how can I make this a game? And it may be because I was influenced by Mary Poppins when I was a kid of, a spoonful of sugar. I think that everything we can do that we can make it more fun and more pleasant, just like a spoonful of sugar helps medicine go down. Every single bit that we can make it a little more fun, just like learning to drum again, because every single time you do it, if you do it in a brand new unit of time, then it can be filled with that energy. And every time, for me, one of the things that I think is so amazing about music is that it can change people's lives. And I know you probably have a story, actually. I would love if you could share a story. Have you ever seen, I know my brother, he taught in Washington, D.C. for a long time, this program where he went into and he helped physically handicapped kids learn to play the guitar. And he watched, and then there were some that, like there was one little girl who, so there was one who had a really bad hearing problems. I think she was 100% deaf. And then there was one who she didn't speak because of a really terrible accident where it killed both of her parents, and she had never spoken since that. And then when she started to learn to play the guitar, she started to become a little chatterbox with her other fellow guitar players. And, and it was amazing because, of course, there was a whole argument that ensued with my brother going, no, I always have a problem getting her to stop talking. And they're like, no, she's mute. She doesn't speak. And we're like, oh no, when she comes to music class, she just blossoms and she's just this amazing bloom. So I wonder if you have a story of watching somebody bloom when they discovered music.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I don't have any children because I've been so busy pursuing this crazy thing, but I wrote a book for kids, on how to play the drums. Yeah, it's called Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids, which is, and it's for ages 5 to 10. And I just noticed that there wasn't a lot of great literature out there or instructional books for kids that age. So, kids, basically I teach the kids to play these beats that they hear in their mom's womb. When they come out, I don't want to bore them with the rudiments, which are like the scales of drumming. I was like, let's get them hooked on drumming, have them fall in love with it. And if they do fall in love with it, then we can go back and we can fill in the gaps. But I do a lot of mentoring, and it's really amazing to see the kids that I work with over the years, joining their first band, or signing up for the School of Rock, or getting accepted to the college of their choice and studying music, or graduating from that college and cultivating their career in the music business. And it's amazing. There's this one kid in particular, I did a Make-A-Wish for him. It's a great young man named Cameron Shannon. He lives in East Tennessee, and he has had so many surgeries. He is just a fighter, but he is so talented, and it is such an honor to meet this young man, because he literally knows every drum beat, every lick from every song I have ever recorded, better than me. He twirls the sticks in all the exact spots and chokes the cymbals in the exact knows. I mean, I'm like, how did you? And he's self-taught. He's completely self-taught. So he's doing fine. I keep in touch with the family all the time. And then all of my companies that sponsor me, they basically sent him an exact replica of my drum set. So it's like a sports car price, and they mailed it to this kid, and he plays it every single day. I think he's homeschooled, so he just has the whole day to just play and improve. And he does. And I said, he's 15 now. And I said, Cameron, what do you want to do? He goes, I'm going to move to Nashville and be a session drummer. I mean, he just has no limitations. He's just really focused. And so just to be in his solar system is a real gift.
Well, that's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing. That gives me goosebumps. That was a beautiful story, because it's one of those things where I think that connecting with a person like that on music and helping them, one, you recognize their gift, but two, acknowledging that's good and it's okay. And again, sometimes people are not so helpful to drummers. And I know this because my brother's been in many bands, and the drummer, I think, gets the hardest time because
it's the Ringo syndrome. Yeah.
They get the tough time. So I appreciate that you're mentoring children. And I thank you so much for sharing those stories. So you also teach online. I would love for you to share with people two things, of course. Number one, if they want to learn from you, how do they do that? And number two, please remember to mention your book, and how can they get your book?
Oh, sure. So, the Crash Course for Success is available from the world-changing Jeff Bezos. Everyone can now be an author thanks to him. That was a very awesome thing. And then Fundamentals of Drumming as well. You can get it on Amazon. I think that's just the best way to do everything. It's going to show up faster, and it's going to be the cheapest. But richredmond.com, REDMOND, is the best place to find about all my products and services. If you want to take a lesson with me, it's so easy. There's all these great platforms nowadays. I consult for this company called lessonsquad.com. And it's basically, if you want to learn any skill in the music business, you just create an account, you sign up with a teacher. One of these proprietary video players opens up, all the payment and everything happens right through the site. And you can connect one-on-one with, a fantastic world-class teacher. So I like teaching and coaching online, and even do a little life coaching, as you could say, or career consultations for creatives. And because I do have insights into how the music business works, as a survivor of the Nashville music industry for 25 years, I've written 3 number 1 songs in Australia. I've produced 3 number 1 songs here in the States. I know how Music Row works. So somebody gets off the bus with a suitcase and stars in their eyes, I can definitely tell them what to do and what not to do.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing that I think is so important, again, is being able to share in the music industry. And I know so many people, just like when I got into real estate investing in Washington, D.C., 20, almost 25 years ago.
Wow.
And women were not accepted.
It was a man's world, right? But you cracked it anyways.
World,
yeah.
And I still cracked it. And I think that part of that is just continuing to follow your dream no matter what. But I did find some amazing mentors that gave me and sometimes it was only a little bitty kernel of information and mentorship. But I think that that's one of the key parts. And right now, since we've all learned these amazing video platforms, we can communicate and we can connect like we probably never learned or been able to connect before. So I thank you for all of the beautiful music that you put into the world, Rich. You are an amazing person. I'm so grateful you are who you are.
Oh, thank you. Music has definitely, it can provide that healing feeling, and a world without music, it would be, that treadmill run would be very long, right? That commute would be very long. You know, you wouldn't have a great song to dance to at your wedding. I mean, just think about what music does for us, and it transcends cultural barriers and language barriers. And so just to be in something as like music, which is our gift from the heavens, is a real honor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'll make sure that we have all of your information up. I am so grateful to know you. And as I said, thank you for all that you do. And thank you for being a guest today. Yay!
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
And as I say every week, find a way to make someone else smile. I am Jennifer Ammons.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield. You may know